I pull into the curved shell driveway of my beach house, tires crunching over the familiar surface, and immediately sense something is wrong. 4 unfamiliar cars crowd the space where normally there's just room for my sensible Subaru. My stomach tightens as I park awkwardly behind them. This is supposed to be my quiet Friday afternoon retreat. I've been looking forward to it all week while processing mortgage applications at Coastal Florida Bank. The thought of my porch swing paperback novel and the sound of distant waves has kept me sane. I step out into the salty air and hear voices. Too many voices coming from my backyard. The gate stands open, and through it I glimpse what appears to be a wedding arch. My pace quickens as I round the corner of the house. The sight that greets me freezes me in place. My carefully tended lawn has been transformed into what can only be described as a wedding venue. White, folding chairs form neat rows on either side of a central aisle. A massive tent dominates the far corner, and strangers bustle about placing floral arrangements and hanging strings of lights from my porch railings. And there in the center of it all stands my sister Serena, clipboard in hand, directing a man with a ladder toward my grandmother's oak tree. The twinkle lights need to curve through those branches. She instructs, her voice carrying that special tone of authority she's perfected since childhood. Thomas and I want that magical feeling when we have our first dance. I remain rooted in place, watching unnoticed as Serena shifts her attention to a woman arranging white roses. Those centerpieces need to be higher. We want drama. And check if the caterer called back about the seafood option. My mind spins. Caterer, first dance. Thomas is Serena's boyfriend of 8 months, but I hadn't heard anything about an engagement, let alone a wedding, at my house. Finally, my paralysis breaks. I step forward. The garden stones cool beneath my feet. Serena's eyes meet mine, and for just a second I catch a flicker of something guilt. Concern before her face blossoms into a brilliant smile. "Rain. Perfect timing," she calls, waving me over as if I'm just another wedding vendor. "We need your input on the seating chart." I struggle to find my voice. "What's going on here?" Serena's smile doesn't falter. "Oh, didn't Mom tell you we're finalizing the wedding details? The ceremony's next Saturday. You're just in time to help with the place settings." My gaze sweeps over my transformed property, my sacred weekend retreat that I worked double shifts for 5 years to afford the down payment, representing countless declined dinner invitations and budget lunches. "You're having your wedding here at my house." The words come out strained. A woman in a sleek blazer approaches, hand extended. "You must be the generous sister I've heard so much about." I'm Vanessa, the wedding planner. The venue is absolutely perfect for what Serena and Thomas envisioned. I shake her hand automatically while processing her words. Generous sister venue. My eyes land on a table covered with elegant cream-colored envelopes. I pick one up, sliding out the embossed invitation inside. The words blur before refocusing. "Joyfully invite you to celebrate their marriage at the Bennett Beach House, 219 Pelican Way, Sandpiper Beach, Florida." The memory surfaces unbidden. Standing in this very yard 5 years ago, key in hand, trembling with pride as the realtor congratulated me on my purchase. The months of saving the overtime hours. The promotion I earned through sheer determination, all culminating in this moment of achievement, my very own piece of paradise. My mother's voice had cut through my joy. Such a waste for just one person, don't you think? The family could have pulled resources for something we could all use. And Serena champagne already in hand. This is perfect for family gatherings. I can't wait to bring my friends down for beach weekends. I'd smiled tightly, already feeling my ownership slipping away despite my name alone on the deed. Since then, it's been a steady erosion. Parents bringing dinner guests without warning. Serena borrowing the place for weekend getaways. The extra key I'd given Mom for emergencies somehow multiplying. Family members coming and going as they pleased. The messes I'd clean up. The belongings rearranged. The casual disregard for my space. My gentle reminders met with the same response. We're family. No need for formalities. Vanessa's voice pulls me back. Serena mentioned you were thrilled to host. We've been working on the details for months. Months. They've been planning this for months without asking me. Something shifts inside me. A lifetime of being the responsible one, the reasonable one, the one who makes sacrifices for family harmony. And this is how they repay me. For a moment, I imagine myself exploding, tearing down decorations, demanding everyone leave. Instead, I feel an eerie calm descend. "Excuse me," I say quietly, turning toward my car. "Rain," Serena calls after me. "Where are you going? We need your help with the seating chart." I keep walking, keys clutched tightly in my hand. "Rain." Her voice rises. "Don't be difficult. We have family obligations." The word echoes as I slide into my driver's seat. Obligations. Always my obligations to them, never theirs to me. As I pull away, I catch Serena's frustrated expression in my rearview mirror. For the first time in years, I don't feel the familiar weight of guilt. Instead, I feel something new taking its place. Determination. I drive aimlessly for nearly an hour before returning to my apartment, fingers still white-knuckled around the steering wheel. The unexpected invasion of my beach sanctuary plays on repeat in my mind like a horror film I can't shut off. Inside my apartment, I drop my purse on the kitchen counter and collapse onto the sofa. My phone buzzes incessantly. 3 missed calls from Serena, 2 from Mom, and a text from Dad that simply reads, "Call your mother." Instead, I open my laptop and type Serena Bennett, wedding into the search bar. My stomach lurches as results flood the screen. Serena's Pinterest board appears first. Beach house dream wedding created 8 months ago. 8 months of planning without a single conversation with me. I click through to her Instagram. A post from 3 weeks ago shows her and Thomas toasting champagne on my porch. The caption reads, "Final venue walkthrough at my amazing sister's beach house. Can't wait for our 150 guests to experience this paradise. 3-day celebration. Generous sister, blessed bride." Comments from relatives pile beneath. So wonderful of Rain to donate her beautiful home. So that's what family is for. What a selfless sister you have. My temples throb. Donate. I never donated anything. A notification pops up. A private message from Thomas, Serena's fiancé. "Rain, I'm sorry about all this. I told Serena we should ask you properly. This wasn't my idea." I stare at the message, unsure how to respond. My phone buzzes again. "Mom, hello." I answer, my voice tight. "There you are. What on earth were you thinking driving off like that?" Serena is beside herself. "The wedding planner needs your input on several things." "And Mom," I interrupt, "did you know about this? That Serena was planning her entire wedding at my house without asking me?" A pause. Well, of course I knew. We all did. It's not like you use that place much. Anyway, I scroll through old text, messages between my parents while she speaks. One from Mom to Dad jumps out. "Rain won't mind about the wedding. She never uses the house anyway. Serena needs this." Dad's response. "Should we at least mention it to Rain? Mom better not. She might overthink it. You know how she gets. Serena says it's easier to ask forgiveness than permission." The timestamp shows this exchange happened 4 months ago. "Are you even listening?" Mom's voice cuts through my thoughts. "Have to go," I say, and hang up. For the next hour, I dig deeper. A family group chat I was never added to contains dozens of messages coordinating wedding details at Rain's place. Cousins discussing carpooling, aunts debating whether to bring extra chairs, everyone assuming I've happily offered my home. I pull my property deed from my filing cabinet, smoothing the paper with trembling hands. Re Elizabeth Bennett, the sole name listed as owners, though mortgage statements show payments from my account alone. Every utility bill, insurance payment, and maintenance cost has come from my savings. The realization strikes with startling clarity. This isn't about a house anymore. This is about respect. I search trespassing laws, Florida, and unauthorized use of private property. I calculate utility costs for 150 guests over 3 days. Potential property damage. Liability issues if someone is injured. The numbers climb alarmingly. My phone rings. Marlene, my best friend since college. Your sister's wedding. She says when I answer, I just got an invitation to your beach house. Since when are you hosting a wedding? I explain the situation, my voice growing stronger with each detail. Rain, Marlene says firmly, you're not crazy for being upset. This is outrageous. What are you going to do? I don't know yet, I reply, but I'm done being a doormat. The next day at work, my coworker James notices my distraction. Family drama. I explain briefly during our lunch break. He nods knowingly. Let me guess. They've crossed a boundary and expect you to just accept it. I look up surprised. How did you know? Been there. My brother used to borrow my car without asking, kept doing it until I changed the locks on my house where I kept the keys. He leans forward. Stand firm. Rain. Family can be the worst boundary violators because they think they're entitled to forgiveness. That afternoon, I receive a text from my neighbor at the beach house. Lots of people coming and going from your place lately. Everything okay? The pieces coalesce into a plan. I leave work early and drive to the beach house. I watch from across the street as Serena directs Flores, carrying arrangements inside my house, my sanctuary. At the hardware store, I purchase new locks and security cameras. The locksmith arrives an hour after Serena leaves. By sunset, my house is secure again. Back at my apartment, I compose a careful email. To family. Subject: beach house access. Please be advised that effective immediately, anyone wishing to visit my property at 219 Pelican Way must contact me directly for permission and access arrangements. The locks have been changed for security purposes. Sincerely, Rain Bennett. I hit send, then mute my phone as it immediately begins to ring. The responses flood in minutes later. Mom, don't be ridiculous. We're family. Where's the spare key? Dad, call your mother. She's upset. Serena's message comes through as a voice call that I let go to voicemail. Her voice trembles with rage when I play it back. How could you be so selfish right before my wedding? You're ruining everything. I've been planning this for months. I send one response. This is my property purchased with my money. No one uses it without my permission. Then I silence all notifications and open my laptop. A local tourism article catches my eye. Sandpiper Beach Tour Company seeking rental properties for exclusive visitors. I click through to their website, looking for unique properties to showcase to our high-end clientele. My fingers hover over the Contact Us form. For the first time in days, I feel a sense of calm settling over me. I download their rental agreement, reading each clause carefully, envisioning the perfect solution taking shape. 3 hours later, I've created a comprehensive plan with contingencies for every possible reaction from my family. I've documented the current condition of my house, calculated fair market rental rates, and prepared a contract that protects my interests. When I finally signed the rental agreement with Sandpiper Beach Tour Company, I recognized the moment for what it is, the point of no return, and I don't regret it for a second. 2 days later, my phone buzzes for the 17th time. This morning. I know because I've been counting. Each vibration sends a small tremor through the wooden desk at Coastal Florida Bank, where I've been trying to focus on a mortgage application for nearly an hour. The screen lights up with Serena's name again, accompanied by a text preview that begins, "You're being completely ridiculous." I silence the phone and flip it face down. 3 more messages arrive in quick succession, their muted vibrations like angry wasps trapped against the desktop. Trouble at home? James asks from the cubicle next to mine. His eyes meet mine over the partition, concern evident in the slight furrow of his brow. My family discovered boundaries exist. I say, surprised by the steadiness in my voice. They're not taking it well. The elevator chimes, drawing my attention to the bank's main floor. My stomach drops. Mother strides across the marble tiles, her purposeful gait and rigid shoulders broadcasting her mission to anyone watching. She's wearing her church committee outfit blue linen pantsuit, Pearl's formidable pumps. She wouldn't, I whisper. But of course she would. This is exactly what she would do. Is that your mom? James whispers, sinking lower in his chair. I stand before she reaches my desk, intercepting her near the water cooler. Mother, this is my workplace and apparently the only place I can reach you, she says, voice pitched to Carrie, just far enough that nearby colleagues pause their typing. Since you've decided to ignore everyone's calls and change the locks without warning, the old Rain would have immediately guided her to the break room, desperate to minimize the scene. Instead, I feel a strange calm settle over me, like stepping into cool water. We can talk after work, I say. I'll meet you at Bayside Cafe at 5:30. Your sister is devastated. The venue was perfect. Do you understand what you've done? 5:30? I repeat, my voice lower but firmer. Or not at all. She blinks twice, the gesture almost comical in its surprise. Without another word, she turns and leaves her heels striking the floor with diminished authority. James whistles low when I return to my desk. That was impressive. I'm as surprised as he is. That evening, I pull into the parking lot of Coral Gables restaurant where my family has arranged what can only be described as an intervention. Through the window, I see them already seated at our usual corner table. Mother, Father, Serena, and to my surprise, Aunt Linda, whose disapproval has terrified me since childhood. You don't have to go in, Marlene says from the passenger seat. My friend insisted on coming when I mentioned the dinner, calling herself my boundary bodyguard. Actually, I say, finding that strange calm again, I do. Inside, Serena doesn't wait for me to sit before launching her attack. My dream wedding is ruined, she announces, eyes already glistening with practiced tears. The alternative venue is half the size and nowhere near the beach. Thomas's family is questioning everything now. Father clears his throat. Pumpkin, we understand you were and surprised by the arrangements, but surely we can work something out. After everything we've done for you, Mother, adds her voice trembling with restrained emotion, changed my entire career to give you girls opportunities. I drove you to piano lessons for 8 years. Piano lessons. As I beg to quit after 3 months, I say quietly. Aunt Linda leans forward. Rain, in our family, we support each other. Your grandfather would be ashamed to see this selfishness. The table falls silent at the mention of Grandpa Joe, the ultimate family authority even years after his death. This is their nuclear option. I take a slow breath, then look directly at my sister. Name one time you asked permission before using my house. Serena blinks. What one time? Just one example. When you called ahead, asked if I minded and respected my answer. Her mouth opens, then closes. Name one weekend when you left the house exactly as you found it. I continue turning to my parents. One occasion when you didn't bring extra people I'd never met. One visit when you actually treated it as my property rather than the family vacation home. The silence stretches. You can't, I say, my voice still quiet but carrying a new weight because it never happened. Mother recovers first. This vindictive behavior is actually Marlene interjects, setting her phone on the table. I have something relevant. She taps the screen, pulling up a calendar. Rain made this request 7 months ago. It shows every time she asked her family to please call before coming to her house. 26 requests in 3 years, each one documented with the date and response. James helped me compile this record last week, combing through text messages and emails I'd nearly forgotten. The evidence of my ignored boundaries laid out chronologically had been shocking even to me. Father shifts uncomfortably in his seat. No one's denying there might have been some miscommunications. It's done anyway, I say, cutting through the tension. The house is rented to Sandpiper Tours for the next 3 weekends, including Serena's wedding. Date. The contract is signed. The deposit is paid. Serena's tears vanish instantly. You what? I slide a folder across the table. The rental agreement, fully legal and binding. That night I finalize the last details. The tour company agreement sits signed on my coffee table. My lawyer's letter confirming my exclusive property rights is ready to be sent if needed. The security cameras I installed yesterday are already transmitting footage to my phone. Thomas's text arrives as I'm preparing for bed. I respect what you're doing even though I can't say it publicly yet. This wasn't right from the beginning. For a moment, doubt creeps in. Am I being too harsh? The remembered image of strangers rifling through my bedroom drawers during last year's small family gathering banishes the thought. This isn't about punishing them. This is about respecting myself. I think about the years of coming home to moved furniture, borrowed items, never returned and casual to disregard. The night I arrived to find 16 strangers having a party. My personal photos handled by people who didn't know my name. The constant assumption that what's mine is everyone's exclusively, but what's theirs remains exclusively theirs. The weight I've carried for years begins to lift. For the first time since buying the beach house, I feel like its true owner. Tomorrow might bring more confrontations, more tears and accusations, but tonight I am certain. This is what freedom feels like. For the first time since discovering the wedding plans, I sleep soundly that night, no longer tangled in bedsheets damp with anxiety sweat. The realization comes in the morning sunshine. Their reactions only confirm I'm making the right decision. This house was always mine, never theirs. The day before the wedding, even though I said no at that dinner, I watched through binoculars from my parked car across the street as my family transforms my beach house into Wedding Central. The scene unfolds exactly as I anticipated. Serena stands in the center of my backyard, clipboard in hand, directing traffic like a seasoned film director. The arch needs to be centered perfectly with the ocean view. She calls to two men struggling with a white wooden structure. And those chairs should form a gentle curve, not straight rows. This isn't a high school graduation. Anham. My mother kneels by the garden beds arranging white roses and baby's breath in stone planters. She seems to be talking to the flowers as she works, probably telling them stories about her own wedding 35 years ago. Dad follows behind a caterer, nodding at everything the man says while occasionally checking his watch. I check mine too. 3, 2, 1. Right on schedule, a white van with coastal Florida tours emblazoned on the side pulls into my driveway. 2 more vehicles follow, parking behind it. 7 uniformed employees exit the vehicles, clipboards and equipment in hand. Through my binoculars, I can see the exact moment confusion ripples across my family's faces. The tour manager, a tall woman with silver hair pulled into a professional bun, approaches Serena with an outstretched hand. Even from this distance, I can read the body language. Serena's spine stiffens. Her head tilts in that particular way it does when something isn't going according to her plan. I start my car but don't drive closer. Not yet. My phone buzzes with a text from the tour manager. We've made contact. Contract presented as instructed. I imagine the scene. The manager showing Serena the legally binding document with my signature dated 3 weeks ago. The reservation for a corporate retreat starting tomorrow morning with setup scheduled for this afternoon. Exclusive use of the property for the entire weekend. My phone erupts with calls. Mom, Dad, Mom again. Serena. I let them all go to voicemail. This moment has been carefully choreographed, and I won't disrupt it by engaging too early. Through my binoculars, I watch as 3 cars pull into the already crowded driveway. Early wedding guests, no doubt. Dad rushes to intercept them, hands waving in what appears to be an explanation. One woman puts her hands to her face in shock. When Serena finally calls for the 6th time, I answer, "What did you do?" Her voice crackles with barely contained fury. "Hello to you too," I reply, my voice remarkably steady. "There are people here saying they have a contract for a tour group tomorrow at your house." "My wedding is tomorrow," I correct her gently. "My house, not your wedding venue. This is your house," she shrieks. "You can tell these people to leave." "You never asked me, Serena." The words flow easily, rehearsed in my mind for days. I bought this house with my money. I maintain it with my money and I rented it out as I wished. You knew about the wedding. Everyone knew. Everyone assumed. No one asked. I keep my tone even. This is what happens when you assume, rather than ask for permission. You have to fix this. Panic edges into her voice. Call them off. The house is not available. Not tomorrow. Not for the weekend. I end the call and watch the chaos unfold. Mom frantically working her phone probably, calling every venue in a 50-mile radius. Dad shepherding confused guests back to their cars. Serena in animated conversation with the wedding planner, her arms gesturing wildly. An hour later, my phone pings with notifications. Social media updates from relatives are shifting from excitement about the beautiful beach wedding to confusion about venue complications. A cousin posts, "Anyone know what happened to the generous sister's offer 20 minutes later?" Thomas calls. His voice sounds different. Measured, respectful, Rain. I want you to know I always felt uncomfortable about using your house without formally asking. Thank you for saying that, Thomas. My parents have agreed to host in their backyard. It won't be the beach, but with some quick rearranging, we can make it work. He pauses. I understand why you did this. After we hang up, I receive the first unexpected text from my Aunt Gloria. Always thought it strange they'd use your house without asking. Standing your ground takes courage. The tour company staff continues setting up their equipment. Beach chairs in neat rows facing the water. Informational placards about local marine life. A registration table on the front porch. I finally drive away, leaving my property being used exactly as I intended, with permission, with respect, with boundaries intact. For the first time in years, I feel something unfamiliar unfurling in my chest. It feels remarkably like freedom. 3 days later, the doorbell rings just as I'm organizing the last of my documentation. Through the peephole, I see my parents standing shoulder to shoulder, their postures rigid with indignation. I take a deep breath, tuck the final photograph into its folder, and open the door. Rain. Elizabeth Bennett. My mother says, her voice wavering between fury and tears. How could you humiliate your sister this way? Her wedding is in shambles. My father stands slightly behind her, his disappointment radiating like heat. After everything we've sacrificed for you, this is how you repay us. By destroying Serena's special day. I step back, gesturing toward my living room. Would you like to come in? Their momentary hesitation reveals their surprise at my calm. They expected tears or defensive anger, my usual response pattern. Instead, I lead them to the couch where 3 water glasses wait on side. Coasters, I've anticipated this visit for days. You need to make this right. My mother continues, her voice gaining strength as she settles onto my couch. A public apology at minimum, and you'll need to compensate for the venue change. Thomas's parents' backyard was barely adequate. My father leans forward, his tone softening into the reasonable voice he uses when closing business deals. Sweetheart, everyone makes mistakes, but this is family. If you don't make amends, I'm afraid you'll find yourself cut off from. I've prepared something I'd like you to see. I interrupt, sliding a thick blue folder across the coffee table. My mother glances at it without touching it. What's this supposed to be documentation? I answer, opening it myself. 5 years of boundary violations at my beach house. I've organized it chronologically. F now. Their expressions shift from righteous anger to weary confusion as I begin laying out photographs. Wine stains on us. My grandmother's quilt after an unauthorized small gathering that left 17 empty bottles. Cigarette burns on the deck furniture from my cousin's friends. Muddy footprints across my white bedroom carpet from someone's dog. I've been silent for too long, I say. My voice steady despite the pounding in my chest. Every time I asked for respect, you dismissed me. Every boundary I set, you crossed. Every boundary I set. My father shifts uncomfortably. That's just normal. Wear and tear. This isn't normal. I counter, pulling out a stack of receipts. These are the repair costs. Notice the signatures. All mine. I've never asked for a dime from any of you. My mother's face flushes. We're family. We shouldn't need formal invitations, or family respects each other, I say, cutting her off with a gentleness that surprises even me. The house is mine. My name is on the deed. My money paid for it. I slide forward the property, documentation, the mortgage statement, the insurance policy, all bearing only my name. You had no right to, my father begins. I had every right, I reply, tapping my finger on the deed, just as I had every right to rent it to the tour company. Their eyes widen as I pull out my phone and scroll to the security camera footage from 3 months ago. My mother leading 6 strangers through my bedroom, opening drawers, showing off our family beach house. This is private property, not a family timeshare, I say. And this, I place Serena's wedding invitation on top of the pile. Was planned without my knowledge or consent. My mother's hands tremble slightly as she picks up the invitation. For the first time, I see uncertainty in her eyes. If you want any relationship with me going forward, these are my terms. I pull out a single sheet of paper. No one visits without explicit permission. I require advance notice and confirmation. All copies of my keys must be returned immediately. My father's face darkens. You can't dictate. I can, and I am. I say, meeting his gaze. These aren't requests. They're requirements. The silence stretches between us. My mother stares at the evidence spread across the table, the physical manifestation of years of disregard. I never saw it from your perspective, she finally whispers, something genuine breaking through her defensive shell. My father rubs his face, suddenly looking older. We didn't think it wasn't our intention to. Intent doesn't erase impact, I say, gathering the documents back into the folder. I love you both, but I won't compromise on this anymore. The power shift is palpable in the room. Their manipulation tactics, the tears, the guilt, the threats of exclusion lie useless between us like spent ammunition. My father reaches into his pocket and places a key on the table. My mother hesitates before adding hers beside it. Serena has one too, my mother admits. I nod. I'll get it from her. She won't take this well, my father warns. That's not my responsibility, I reply. As they prepare to leave, my mother pauses at the door. Will you come to Sunday dinner next week? I meet her eyes steadily. I'll let you know by Thursday if I'm available. Something passes between us, a new understanding. She nods once, accepting this small but significant shift in our dynamics. After they leave, I stand in my quiet apartment, my heart racing not with anxiety, but with a strange, unfamiliar lightness. For the first time in years, I feel the weight of their expectations lifting from my shoulders. I pick up the keys they left behind, symbols of a boundary finally respected, and place them in my desk drawer. The battle isn't over. Serena will be harder to convince than my parents. But for now, in this moment, I've reclaimed something essential. My house, my boundaries, my life. The morning sunlight spills across my deck as I settle into my porch swing, coffee mug warming my hands. 6 months have passed since the wedding debacle, and my beach house feels truly mine for the first time. No unexpected visitors, no rearranged furniture, no apologetic texts about borrowing the place for the weekend. I run my fingers along the new cushions I chose last month. Soft teal fabric that reminds me of the ocean at midday. The bookshelves I installed now hold my favorite novels instead of Serena's forgotten magazines. Wind chimes tinkle softly from the corner of the porch, a sound that has become synonymous with peace. This is what home should feel like, I whisper to myself, watching a pair of sandpipers dance along the shoreline. My phone buzzes with a text from James at work. Congrats again on the promotion. Bank's lucky to have you in charge of the commercial loan division. The promotion came after I pitched my own restructuring plan. Instead of letting the VP take credit for my ideas, something shifted inside me that day in the conference room when I said, "Actually, I developed this strategy and would like to present it myself." The confidence from standing up to my family spilled into every aspect of my life. Last Saturday, I had dinner with Mom and Dad for the first time in months. The conversation felt stilted at first, but they respected the boundaries I'd established. Dad asked before helping himself to more water. Mom called yesterday to thank me for coming rather than assuming we'd meet again this weekend. Some relatives still don't understand. Aunt Patricia insists I'm holding a grudge, while Uncle Steve maintains families should have unlimited access to each other's homes. I've accepted that not everyone will adapt to the new normal. Thomas surprisingly calls occasionally, after marrying Serena at his parents' garden, which turned out beautifully. Despite the last-minute change, he seems genuinely invested in building a respectful relationship. Your sister is learning. He told me last week slowly, but she's trying. Ender. My doorbell chimes at exactly 11 o'clock. Serena stands on my porch, hands clasped nervously in front of her. Thanks for letting me visit, she says, waiting for me to invite her in. We walk to the kitchen where I've prepared a simple lunch. She notices the family photos I've rearranged on the wall, still present, but no longer dominating the space. I like what you've done with the place, she offers, settling into a chair I gesture toward. Our conversation meanders through safe topics until she finally says, I never really thought about how we treated your house before. I just assumed that it was partly yours. I finish. She nods, examining her sandwich. I'm sorry. The words hang between us, fragile but sincere. At 4 o'clock, and Tino. She glances at her watch and stands. I should go. Thank you for respecting my time. I tell her, walking her to the door. Her smile is tentative but genuine. This was nice. Maybe we could do it again sometime. I'd like that, I reply, surprised to find I mean it. Later, sitting on my deck with Marlene and 2 new friends from my pottery class, I pour wine into mismatched glasses. We laugh as the sun begins its descent, painting the sky in vibrant oranges and pinks. My phone lights up with a text from Serena. Thanks for having me over today. Looking forward to next time with permission, of course. I smile, setting down my phone to rejoin the conversation. The boundaries I've built haven't shrunk my world as I once feared. They've expanded it, creating space for relationships based on mutual respect rather than obligation. The ocean breeze carries the scent of salt and possibility as evening settles around us. For the first time in years, I feel perfectly at home in my own story, too. The chandelier in the White Family Country Club dining room catches the afternoon light just right, sending fractured rainbows across mahogany that costs more than most people's cars. I watch dust motes drift through Eleanor's cloud of Chanel No. 5 as I follow the mantra to what he calls the family table, with that knowing smile he reserves for people about to get bad news over good wine. Arthur checks his Rolex before I even sit down. Third time in 30 seconds. Eleanor adjusts her pearls with the precise motion of someone who has practiced this gesture in a mirror. Meredith positions her iPhone at an angle that would make a film student proud, her smile sharp enough to draw blood. Everyone in their assigned seats, everyone playing their part in whatever intervention they've rehearsed. Rebecca. Eleanor's voice has that particular warmth she uses when she wants something. You look lovely, darling. I'm wearing the same gray sweater I wore last Tuesday. She didn't notice it then either. I sit in the chair. Or the metro pulls out, the one that faces all 3 of them like I'm about to defend a dissertation to a hostile committee. The leather cacks. Someone in the kitchen drops a pan. Normal sounds in a very abnormal moment. Eleanor slides a slim velvet box across the table. The kind of box that usually holds jewelry. Her fingers leave it positioned exactly between the salt and pepper shakers, perfectly aligned with the table's edge. A fresh start, darling. We think you'll adore Austin. I open the box. 1-way plane ticket. Departure in 48 hours. Arthur places a check beside it with surgical precision. His banker hands steady. Your seed capital, Rebecca. $5,000. Use it wisely. The check is already signed, already dated. They printed it before I even arrived. Meredith shifts her phone a fraction of an inch to the left, getting my face in better light. Her Yale Law Review editor's smile widens. She's been waiting for this moment, probably planned which filter she'll use when she posts the video. I recognize this performance. The synchronized movements, the rehearsed lines. They've been planning this for months, and I'm supposed to crumble right on cue. My mind drifts back to last year, the annual White Family Charity Gala at the Ritz-Carlton. I'd come straight from TerraSense field testing and hadn't had time to change. My hiking boots were still a bit dusty. I thought they'd understand. I thought maybe this one time my work would matter more than appearances. Harrison Blackwood cornered me near the champagne fountain. Arthur's most important client, the one who controls half of Arthur's quarterly bonuses. His laugh cut through the string quartet. Arthur, I didn't know you hired the garden staff for your parties. Arthur's face drained white. Eleanor's hand found my elbow, later her fingers digging in hard enough to leave marks. You humiliated this family, Rebecca. It will not happen again. That was the night they decided. I could see it in the glance Arthur and Eleanor exchanged over their champagne flutes. The Austen exile crystallized in that moment, fully formed. The pattern started long before that, though. I was 8 when Meredith's piano recital overlapped with my science fair. I'd won first place. Created a working water filtration system from household materials. Miss Peterson said it was the most advanced project she'd seen in 20 years of teaching. Rebecca understands sacrifice, Arthur told me in the car. We were driving to Meredith's recital. My trophy stayed home on the kitchen counter. I understood sacrifice. I understood that debate team got canceled, so Meredith could have mock trial. That internships got declined because family obligations always met Meredith's needs. That my environmental science degree was expensive charity work while her Yale Law acceptance was framed in the dining room. I understood that I was the daughter who just didn't quite fit. Eleanor watches me now, waiting for tears. Arthur's already reaching for his water glass, preparing his tough love speech. Meredith's thumb hovers over the record button. I let the silence stretch. Let them savor it. Let them think they've won. Thank you. My voice stays level. Steady. I'll be smart with it. Arthur's shoulders drop. Eleanor's smile turns genuine. The Rebecca problem finally solved. Meredith's disappointment flickers across her face. No tears for her video. No drama for her Instagram story. I fold the check with deliberate care, crease it once, and slip it into my purse. The paper is thick, expensive, the kind of check Arthur uses for important transactions. They don't know about the wire transfer. $8,500,000, confirmed 48 hours ago, sitting in my account while they hand me $5,000 like it's a fortune. They don't know that Julian Vance, Agricor's CEO, called me personally. That Professor Kalin forwarded my recovery data to the AgRUC Summit. That their daughter, the embarrassment, the one who doesn't quite fit, built something worth buying. Arthur raises his wine glass to fresh starts. I raise my water glass and smile. Let them think it's gratitude. It's not. 6 months before the Velvet box and the Austen ticket, I sat in Professor Kalin's office at Stanford, while he demolished my TerraSense proposal with the kind of precision surgeons use to remove tumors. The idea is fine, Rebecca. He tapped his pen against my printed presentation. 3 months of work reduced to 18 stapled pages, but the data is thin. This is just a class project. The fluorescent lights hummed overhead. Someone's coffee maker beeped down the hall. Normal sounds in a moment that felt like falling. I'd expected pushback. Questions about methodology. Concerns about scalability, not dismissal. What would make it more than a class project? Professor Kalin leaned back in his chair. Field data. Real-world application. Proof that your algorithm works outside a controlled environment. He slid the proposal back across his desk. Right now you have theory. Investors want results. I walked back to my apartment through campus, past students celebrating the end of finals, past the coffee shop where Meredith and I used to study before she transferred to Yale. The proposal felt heavier in my backpack than it should. Theory, just a class project. I'd heard variations of those words my whole life. From Arthur, when I chose environmental science over economics. From Eleanor, when I explained carbon sequestration, instead of discussing wedding venues like Meredith. From every family dinner where my research became background noise to Meredith's latest achievement. But Professor Kalin wasn't family. He didn't have a stake in my failure, which meant he was right. I spent the next 3 weeks living in the university library, surviving on vending machine coffee, and the kind of determination that comes from being underestimated your entire life. The Callaway Innovation Grant application wanted 12 pages. I gave them 30. They wanted 1 recommendation letter. I secured 4. They wanted a budget breakdown. I built a full financial projection model. The acceptance email arrived at 2 a.m. $75,000. I called home from the empty lab, too excited to wait for morning. Eleanor answered on the 4th ring. "That's nice, dear." Her voice sounded distant, distracted. "Listen, Meredith just made Yale Law Review. Can you believe it? The youngest editor in 15 years. Mom, I won the Callaway grant. It's one of the most competitive." "That's wonderful, Rebecca. I need to go. Your father's on the other line with the Yale Alumni Association." The click of disconnection echoed in Stanford's empty lab. The fluorescent lights hummed. My laptop screen glowed with the acceptance email. $75,000 of validation that couldn't compete with Meredith's latest trophy. I looked at my Terrancy proposal at 3 weeks of sleepless work at proof that I could build something real. Then I got to work. The grant money went to an outsourced development team in Bangalore, carefully selected after weeks of interviews. Every contract specified my sole ownership of the intellectual property. Every line of code got documented, time-stamped, backed up in triplicate. I hired David Morrison, a part-time data analyst who worked evenings and weekends piecing together the sensor network while teaching high school physics during the day. Professor Kalin stopped by the lab one evening, found me elbow-deep in calibration, protocols. "You're serious about this? You said I needed field data." I didn't look up from my laptop. "I'm getting field data." 3 months later, I had my pilot program. A small family farm outside Fresno, 3rd-generation operation, desperate enough to try an unproven system from a Stanford student who promised better irrigation efficiency. The algorithm went live on a Tuesday morning in March. By Thursday afternoon, I knew something was wrong. The soil moisture readings fluctuated wildly. The irrigation schedule triggered at incorrect intervals. I watched from my laptop as 30% of their test crop drowned in water my system had insisted they needed. The farmer's voice stayed level when he called. Controlled. The kind of control that comes from watching your livelihood die in real time. "We're shutting it down, Rebecca. Give me 48 hours. I can fix this." "You've had 3 months. The crop doesn't get 48 hours. Sat in the lab surrounded by failure data, watching my grant money hemorrhage into a flooded field outside Fresno. Every sensor reading, every irrigation trigger, every algorithmic decision that had destroyed someone's harvest. Arthur's voicemail arrived that evening. He'd heard about the farm through his network. Of course he had. Bad news travels fast in circles where reputation matters more than recovery. "Rebecca, it's your father. I heard about your little agricultural experiment. Perhaps it's time to consider something more suitable. Give me a call." He didn't sound surprised. He sounded relieved. Eleanor's text came next. "Darling, there's no shame in trying. Not everyone is meant for entrepreneurship." Then Meredith. 3 crying, laughing emojis followed by "heard you drown some vegetables." I turned off my phone, pulled up the failure log, started reading. Somewhere in 3 months of code and thousands of lines of predictive modeling was the error that had cost a farmer 30% of his crop and validated every dismissive word my family had ever said about me. The lab became my home for the next 3 weeks. I ordered Thai food I didn't eat, made coffee. I forgot to drink, slept 2 hours in the desk chair, and woke up with sensor specifications imprinted on my cheek. I found the error at 2:30 on a Wednesday morning. Single flawed line in the moisture prediction algorithm. A variable initialization error so small, so elegant in its destructiveness that I almost admired it. I rebuilt the entire system from the ground up. The new algorithm emerged 40% more efficient than my original projections. The recovery data showed something I hadn't anticipated. System resilience. Proof that the platform could identify its own errors, adapt and improve. I sent the updated analysis to Professor Kalin at 4 in the morning. His response arrived an hour later. Conference room 9 a.m. Bring everything. When I walked in carrying 3 months of recovery data. He looked at my findings for 7 minutes without speaking. Then he picked up his phone and started dialing. I'm getting you a presentation slot at the Agrich Summit, he said. Don't make me regret this. Julian Vance sat in the third row during my presentation taking notes, while I explained how catastrophic failure had produced a stronger system. How the recovery logs proved adaptive resilience. How Terrace wasn't just functional anymore. It was revolutionary. His technical team called me 2 days later. 4 senior engineers on the line interrogating every line of code, every data point, every projection. I'd spent 6 months documenting everything. Every decision, every setback, every breakthrough. My meticulous records became my greatest asset. The acquisition offer arrived 24 hours after that call. $8,500,000. Director of Sustainable Development at Agricor's Chicago headquarters. I saved the wire transfer confirmation, but didn't tell anyone. Not Professor Kalin. Not David Morrison. Certainly not my family. That secret felt like power, like proof, like everything they'd never believed I could build. The dessert arrives in a crystal dish, the kind that catches light and throws it back like tiny accusations. Creme brulee, my favorite according to Eleanor. Though I've hated the texture since I was 12. She never noticed when I'd push it around the plate at family dinners, creating patterns in the burnt sugar crust. Instead of eating, I lift my spoon. The sugar cracks with a sound that feels too loud in the careful quiet of our table. Arthur leans back in his chair, the leather creaking under his weight. He's moving into speech mode. I can tell by the way he adjusts his cufflinks first, then his collar, the same ritual he uses before a client. Presentations. Rebecca, your mother, and I have given this a great deal of thought. His voice carries that boardroom authority, the one that closes deals and ends discussions. Sometimes, tough love is the greatest gift a parent can give. You need to find your own path without the shadow of family expectations. The irony would be funny if it weren't so perfectly on brand. Family expectations are the only thing they've ever given me. Elena dabs at her eyes with a napkin that probably costs $40. Her tears are perfectly timed, perfectly placed. Not enough to smudge her mascara, just enough to glisten. We want what's best for you, darling. A fresh start where you can really discover who you're meant to be, who I'm meant to be. As if I haven't already discovered that in a Stanford lab at 3 o'clock in the morning rewriting code until my eyes burned. As if I haven't already become exactly who I'm meant to be and they just couldn't see it. Meredith's smile stretches wider. She stopped trying to hide her satisfaction. Her phone sits on the table now, recording openly, getting every angle of my supposed defeat. She'll edit this later. Add a soundtrack, maybe. Something inspirational about family and second chances. This is exactly what I needed, I tell them. My voice stays soft. Grateful. Thank you for seeing what I couldn't see myself. Arthur's shoulders relax. Eleanor reaches across the table to pat my hand, her diamond rings cold against my skin. Inside my head, I'm doing math. Their $5,000 versus my $8.5 million. Their country club membership dues versus my director of sustainable development salary. Their carefully constructed intervention versus the wire transfer confirmation sitting in my email dated 2 days before this dinner even happened. I've already won. They're just too busy performing to notice. The waiter refills water glasses. Someone at the next table laughs. Life continues around us while my family orchestrates my exile, completely unaware that I'm 3 moves ahead in a game they don't even know we're playing. There's power in this silence, strength in letting them believe their own story. I spent 23 years trying to prove myself to people who were never going to look. Now, I don't have to prove anything. I'm free. They just handed me freedom wrapped in a velvet box with a plane ticket inside. Meredith's phone buzzes. She glances down, her smile turning predatory. Posted, she murmurs, but loud enough for me to hear. Her fingers move across the screen with practice speed. My own phone vibrates in my purse. Once, twice, 10 times in rapid succession. The family WhatsApp is erupting. I know without looking what Meredith posted. Edited clips from tonight. Probably strategic cuts that make me look lost and them look generous. A caption about fresh starts and family support. Maybe a prayer hands emoji. The responses flood in. I can picture them. Cousin Bradley putting in a good word at my Austin firm. Marketing could be perfect for her. Aunt Patricia teaching something simple might be just the thing. Uncle James, these young people need guidance. Good for you, Arthur. The family narrative cementing in real time. Rebecca the failure. Rebecca the lost cause. Rebecca saved by family. Generosity. My phone vibrates again. Different pattern. Text message. Not WhatsApp. I wait until Eleanor excuses herself to greet someone across the room. Until Arthur gets pulled into a conversation about interest rates with a passing colleague. Until Meredith is distracted by her own social media engagement metrics. Then I check. Professor Kalin heard about Agricor. Don't let anyone dim this light. I close my eyes, open them. The country club chandelier still glitters, the creme brulee still sits half-eaten on expensive china. Another text arrives. Marcus Chen Chicago's lucky to have you. Drinks when you get here. Then a number I don't recognize, but the signature gives it away. Apartment viewing schedule attached. Welcome to the team. Julian Vance's office. 2 phones, 2 lives, one for the performance, one for reality. The Whites are still managing my narrative on the family WhatsApp. Still posting and commenting and reshaping my story into something they can control. Still painting me as the family project, the one who needed saving. Meanwhile, Agricor's legal team is finalizing my employment contract. My apartment in Chicago has a view of Lake Michigan. Professor Kalin is recommending me for speaking engagements. Marcus is adding me to his personal network of founders who actually built something. Chosen family versus blood family. The contrast has never been clearer. Eleanor returns to the table, followed shortly by Arthur. Meredith finally puts her phone down, satisfied with her documentation of my downfall. Walk me to my car, Arthur asks. Not really a question. Outside the parking lot smells like money. New leather and imported cologne and the particular scent of privilege that clings to expensive things. Ballet move between vehicles that cost more than most people make in a year. Arthur's Mercedes sits under a light gleaming black paint reflecting our shapes back at us in distorted mirror. He turns to face me. His expression has softened into something he probably thinks looks paternal. This is for your own good, Rebecca. Someday you'll thank me. The night air is cool. I can hear other families leaving the club. Laughter, car doors, the ordinary sounds of people who haven't just orchestrated an intervention over creme brulee. I already do, Dad. I meet his eyes. You've taught me exactly what I needed to learn. Confusion flickers across his face. He's trying to parse my words, looking for sarcasm or bitterness. He won't find it. I mean every word. He taught me I was on my own. He taught me that some people will never see your value no matter how much you achieve. He taught me that sometimes the greatest gift is discovering you don't need someone's approval. After all, these are lessons worth $8.5 million. Good. He clears his throat. Austin will be good for you. Fresh perspectives. I nod. Let him believe it. Back inside, Eleanor is calling Rebecca's college friends. I see her phone pressed to her ear, expression set in concerned mother mode explaining the intervention. Controlling the story. Before I can tell my own version. Meredith is drafting something on her laptop now. Probably her LinkedIn post about supporting struggling family members, about the importance of tough love and family values, their closing ranks, rewriting history, making sure everyone knows their version before mine can surface. I pull out my phone and start documenting. Screenshots of the WhatsApp messages. Voice memo noting the time and location of Arthur's parking lot speech. Photos of the check the ticket, the velvet box evidence data proof. Let them think they've won. Let them control their narrative for now. I'm building mine methodically, recording everything, creating a paper trail they don't even know exists. Sunday night, I'll board a plane, just not the one they bought. Monday morning, Forbes will publish an article they haven't seen coming. 48 hours until detonation, until their carefully constructed story explodes into something they can't control or edit or explain away. I return to the table. Eleanor is crying again. Meredith is calculating her social media strategy. And I'm smiling. Really smiling because they just handed me the greatest gift. The freedom of having nothing left to prove. Sunday morning, light filters through my apartment windows, catching the dust from 2 open suitcases on my bed. I'm folding a thrift store sweater when the doorbell rings. Unannounced, exactly like Eleanor. I check the peephole. There she is, holding a Starbucks cup like a prop, her Sunday brunch outfit perfectly pressed. Darling, I thought you might need help packing. She sweeps past me before I can answer, her eyes already scanning my apartment with the precision of a home inspector. Moving is so overwhelming. Overwhelming as if I haven't orchestrated 3 international shipping containers and a corporate relocation package in the past week. I gesture toward the suitcases. Just finishing up, Eleanor sets her coffee on my kitchen counter without using a coaster. She picks up my Stanford diploma from the pile next to the suitcase, runs one manicured finger across the frame. You won't need your diplomas in Austin, dear. Fresh starts mean leaving everything behind. The diploma is a duplicate. The real one shipped to Chicago on Tuesday. You're right, Mom. I take it from her hands. Set it back down. Fresh start. New beginning. Her smile blooms genuine. I'm so glad you understand. She moves to my closet, pulls out my interview blazer, the good one, navy wool tailored, and this is far too formal for Austin's casual culture. That blazer is already hanging in my Chicago penthouse closet. This one came from Goodwill yesterday for $19. I was thinking the same thing. I fold it into the suitcase with deliberate care. Eleanor watches me pack thrift store jeans, clearance rack blouses, everything carefully chosen to look like my actual wardrobe. She nods approvingly at each choice. Satisfied I'm dismantling my life correctly. Your father and I are so proud of how you're handling this. She perches on my bed's edge, careful not to wrinkle her linen pants. Not every young woman has the maturity to accept guidance with such grace. Grace. That's what she calls surrender. My phone buzzes. Eleanor's eyes flick toward it, but I'm faster. Julian Vance's assistant confirming my furniture delivery to the Chicago address. I silence it without reading the preview. Just the airline, I tell her. Confirming my flight. Good. She smooths invisible wrinkles. I'll drive you to the airport tomorrow. Make sure you get off safely. There it is. Not maternal concern. Verification. She wants to watch me board, watch the plane door close, confirm the exile is complete. That's really thoughtful, Mom. Her coffee sits abandoned on my counter, lipstick stain on the rim. She doesn't drink it. Didn't come here for coffee. After she leaves, I sit on my bed surrounded by suitcases full of someone else's clothes. The Austin boarding pass sits on my nightstand, purchased with my own credit card printed at home. It will never be scanned. My real flight to Chicago departs 3 hours after the Austin flight. Different airline, different terminal. The beautiful symmetry makes me smile. They taught me this game. How to perform one reality while living another. How to let people see exactly what they expect. I just became better at it than they ever were. Monday morning, Arthur sends his email at 8:30 a.m. sharp. I watch it arrive on my phone from O'Hare's Gate B-17, waiting for my Chicago boarding call. The subject line, family update. The body brief and efficient. Rebecca has relocated to Austin for a fresh perspective. We're confident this change will provide valuable clarity for her future. Valuable clarity. His code for cutting me off. The email goes to his entire professional network. 200 contacts built over 30 years. Every investor, every client, every board member he knows. The implicit message reads clear: don't help her, don't hire her, don't take her calls. I'm holding my second coffee when Eleanor's Instagram post appears. A family photo from Meredith's SEAL graduation. The three of them perfectly posed. I'm cropped out so cleanly you'd never know I existed. The caption, "Our little Yale Law Review star. So proud of Meredith's accomplishments. Family first. Proud mom." 37 likes in 5 minutes. Meredith posts 20 minutes later. An Instagram story. My apartment door closed. The number visible. Then a shot of the empty parking space where my car used to be. Her caption overlaid in that cutesy script font. "When siblings choose different paths." Wishing her well. 300 views already. They're not just exiling me, they're erasing me. My boarding group gets called. I silence my phone, gather my carry-on. The Austin flight has already departed from the other terminal. Eleanor probably stood at the window watching it taxi away, believing I'm on it. The flight attendant scans my ticket. "Welcome aboard, Miss White." Chicago waits. My corner office at Agricor. My penthouse overlooking Lake Michigan. My new life built on their dismissal. The plane's engines hum to life. 9 a.m. Eastern. The Forbes article goes live. I'm somewhere over Indiana when my phone starts vibrating with such intensity it nearly walks across my tray table. Airplane Wi-Fi loads slowly, but the Forbes headline appears in crisp black text. Agricor acquires revolutionary ag startup Terrans for $8,500,000. The subheading, 3-year-old founder Rebecca White's irrigation algorithm promises to transform sustainable agriculture. My professional headshot fills half the screen. The one Professor Kalin insisted I take last month. Not cropped out, not erased front and center. The article details everything. The Callaway grant, the catastrophic farm test, the algorithm rewrite, the acquisition terms. My new title at Agricor Director of Sustainable Development. I refresh my LinkedIn. Professor Kalin's post appeared 6 minutes ago. Proud of my student Rebecca White. True innovation happens when brilliant minds refuse to accept failure as final. Congratulations on the Terrance acquisition. 43 shares already. Stanford's official account posted 5 minutes after that. The photo from the grant ceremony. Me holding the oversized check. Professor Kalin beside. Me, both of us grinning. Congratulations to Stanford Environmental Science alum Rebecca White on the successful acquisition of TerraSense by Agricor. Making a difference in sustainable agriculture. Agricor's announcement appeared at 9 a.m. exactly. Professional, polished, welcoming. My bio highlighting the algorithm's efficiency improvements. My role leading the new Sustainable Development Division. Marcus's Twitter thread started simple. Honored to have worked with visionary founder Rebecca White on Terrance. Watching brilliant people solve impossible problems never gets old. The counter-narrative builds itself. Organic, truthful, unstoppable. Arthur's assistant trying to reach him. Harrison Blackwood's office calling the house. Eleanor's charity board president leaving voicemails. I imagine Arthur in his office. His assistant showing him the Forbes article on her iPad. The color draining from his face. His phone, ringing. Harrison Blackwood calling personally. Why didn't you mention Rebecca's company? I would have invested $8.5 million. That algorithm could revolutionize precision agriculture. Eleanor at her Monday morning tennis lesson. Her phone lighting up with messages. Her charity board president delighted. Eleanor, we had no idea Rebecca was in technology. Can she speak at our spring gala? Our donors would be fascinated. Meredith in her Yale Law library study room, her classmates approaching with confused smiles. Your sister sold her company. Why didn't you ever mention TerraSense? The family WhatsApp group erupts. I disabled notifications yesterday, but I check it now. 37 new messages. Confused relatives. Congratulatory cousins. Awkward questions about why nobody knew. Aunt Patricia. Rebecca sold her startup for millions. Cousin Bradley. Wait, Rebecca's a tech executive now. Uncle Richard, why are we just hearing about this? The narrative crumbles in real time. Every careful lie, every dismissive comment, every cropped photo suddenly suspect. I saved the Forbes article to my phone. Screenshot Professor Kalin's LinkedIn post. Archive Agrior's welcome announcement. Evidence documentation proof. By the time my plane touches down at O'Hara, I have 43 missed calls, 16 voicemails, 62 text messages, most from numbers I haven't heard from in years, 3 from Arthur's office line, 7 from Eleanor's, cell 12 from Meredith. I don't listen to any of them. Not yet. My Chicago driver waits at arrivals with my name on a tablet. Professional, efficient. Nothing like Eleanor's suffocating surveillance. Welcome to Chicago, Miss White. The city skyline rises ahead. My new beginning built on their dismissal. Let them scramble. Let them call. I'm already gone. The letter arrives on a Tuesday morning 2 weeks after they've stopped trying to reach me directly. Agricor's general counsel forwards it with a subject line that makes my coffee taste bitter. Legal matter. Requiring your attention. I open the PDF in my Chicago office. Lake Michigan stretches gray and chopless beyond my window. The letterhead belongs to Whitmore and Associates, the firm Arthur uses for his most aggressive negotiations. Formal demand for settlement re-terra-sense intellectual property. The language is precise, calculated. Arthur's handiwork dressed in legal terminology. They claim fiduciary interest in Terrence based on substantial family investment during development phase and creation of intellectual property, while residing as dependent in family home. The $5,000 check is now seed funding, establishing an equity stake in the venture. Their demand 30% of the acquisition price, $2.55 million or litigation. I read it twice. The audacity sits sharp in my throat. They handed me that check at the country club like it was charity. Severance pay for the family disappointment. Now it's venture capital. Now it's ownership. The phone on my desk lights up. Julian Vance calling from the executive suite upstairs. Rebecca. His voice carries the controlled frustration of a CEO protecting his assets. I assume you've seen the letter just now. Our lawyers tell me it's baseless. Your IP documentation is airtight, but they're making noise through back channels. He pauses. Eleanor White contacted 2 of our board members yesterday. Concerned calls about family disputes and your stability. My jaw tightens. Of course she did. Eleanor knows exactly which threads to pull. Meredith's drafting an op-ed. Julian continues something about startup ethics and family obligations. Her Yale credentials give it weight she doesn't deserve. I close my eyes. The coordinated assault. Arthur applying legal pressure. Eleanor working her social network. Meredith building the public narrative. The same synchronized performance from the country club scaled up to match the stakes. What do you need from me, I ask. Nothing yet. Our PR team is drafting a response. Vague but firm. We protect our people, Rebecca. His tone shifts, becomes almost paternal. But I need to know if there's any validity to their claim. Any verbal agreements. Any family money that went into development, none. I have documentation for every dollar. The Callaway grant. My own savings. Nothing from them. Good. Relief colors his voice. Then we let the lawyers handle it. But after we hang up, I sit staring at that letter. At the repositioned $5,000 at Arthur's signature on the firm's authorization. My phone buzzes. A text from Professor Kalin. Seeing some chatter online. You okay? I don't answer. I open Twitter instead. Tech Twitter has picked up the story. Agrior's PR release hit an hour ago, carefully worded about meritless attempts to exploit a young founder. The replies are rallying around me, calling out the family dynamics, sharing their own stories of relatives who appeared after success. Someone's dug up Meredith's Instagram. The post she deleted after Forbes. Screenshots circulating with commentary about hypocrisy. Her Yale Law Review colleagues distancing themselves in quote tweets. Carefully professional statements about not endorsing her forthcoming piece. Arthur's reputation bleeding out in real time. Investment blogs questioning his judgment. Colleagues wondering why he didn't recognize his own daughter's potential. I should feel vindicated. Instead, I feel the weight of what they're willing to destroy to get what they want. Their own credibility, their professional relationships, whatever remained of our family, all for 30% of something they called worthless. 6 months ago. I forward Arthur's demand letter to my personal email. Read it again on my phone. The legal argument hinges entirely on that check they're seed funding their investment during development. The check I never cashed. I open my mobile banking app. The check image is still there in my deposit queue. Photographed, but never processed. $5,000 from Arthur White. Memo line. Fresh Start Fund. Not TerraSense Investment. Not Seed Capital, Fresh Start Fund. Their own documentation, betraying their claim. I could simply show Agrier's lawyers this image. Prove the check's true nature. Let them dismantle Arthur's argument in court filings and depositions. But that's not enough. That's playing their game on their terms. I tap deposit check. The app processes 30 seconds of loading screen. Then transaction successful. $5,000 deposited to your account. I screenshot the confirmation, the timestamp, the memo line, the full details. My hands are steady as I open my email. Forward the screenshot to Agricor's General Counsel with a brief note. For your records, full payment received and accepted. Then I compose a new email. Direct reply to Arthur's lawyer. CC. Arthur White Eleanor, White Meredith White. Subject Re. Your client's final payment. Body attached. Please find my acknowledgement of your client's payment. Thank you for finalizing this matter. All future correspondence can be directed to my legal counsel. I attach the screenshot. The deposited check their investment accepted as exactly what they intended it to be. Payment severance, the price of my exile. My finger hovers over send. I think about 8 years old at the science fair. Meredith's piano recital. The accumulated Sereners. The lifetime of being the daughter who understood sacrifice. I press send. The email whooshes into the void. 30 seconds later, my phone shows 3 red receipts. Arthur, Eleanor, Meredith. The silence that follows feels absolute. I go to my contacts. Find Arthur White. Press block. Find Eleanor White. Press block. Find Meredith White. Press block. My phone feels lighter without them. Outside my window, Lake Michigan catches the afternoon sun. The water turns silver. A sailboat cuts across the horizon, moving towards something I can't see. I save their letter. The demand. The threat. Everything documented like always, but this time the documentation isn't defense, it's victory. They taught me to keep records, to be meticulous, to prove everything. They just never considered I'd use those lessons against them. 6 months later, morning light pours through the floor-to-ceiling windows of my Chicago penthouse, turning Lake Michigan into hammered silver. I'm drinking coffee from a mug Professor Kalin sent me, the one that says, "Data doesn't lie," in faded letters. My Terence Innovator Award sits on the bookshelf, half hidden, behind a stack of industry journals. I didn't mount it on the wall. Didn't need to. The team photos from Agricor have replaced what used to be family portraits in my old apartment. People who actually see me when they look at my face. My calendar alerts ping. 3 meetings today. All of them matter. All with people who value what I built, not what last name I carry. The framed check hangs in my powder room. $5,000 preserved under glass. Like the punchline, "It became." Guests always ask about it. I tell them it's a reminder that the best investments are the ones people make in themselves. Tonight is a Greyors holiday party. I'm speaking about failure and recovery, about how the catastrophic crop test in Fresno taught me more than any success could have. Young engineers need to hear that brilliance isn't avoiding mistakes. It's documenting them so precisely that you never make them twice. The venue glitters with that corporate holiday magic, all tasteful greenery and ambient lighting. I'm mid-story about rewriting the algorithm when I notice him approaching through the crowd. Harrison Blackwood, Arthur's most important client. the man who compared me to garden staff at the charity gala. He waits until I finish clapping with the others, then extends his hand. Miss White Harrison Blackwood, I heard your presentation at the Agretch Summit last spring. Remarkable work. I shake his hand. His grip is firm, respectful. He has no idea we've met before. The room doesn't stop. The conversation around us continues. But I feel that old tension try to surface, that childhood need for family validation, attempting one last resurrection. It dies quietly. Harrison launches into questions about soil sensors and predictive modeling. Technical questions, smart ones. He's done his homework. He sees the algorithm now, not the dust on my boots. Later, back in my office, I update my calendar. Monthly mentorship call with Professor Kalin tomorrow. Scholarship committee meeting for my Unlikely Innovators Fund at Stanford on Thursday. The fund targets students whose families don't understand their work. Students who need someone to believe in their data before they believe in themselves. Therapy is Wednesday. Still processing, still learning that systematic devaluation leaves marks even algorithms can't solve. A young intern stops by my door hesitant. Maya brilliant with systems architecture, uncertain about everything else. Miss White, do you have a minute? I wave her in. My family doesn't really get what I do here. She twists her visitor badge. They keep asking when I'm going to get a real job. I just wondered if that ever happened to you. I close my laptop, give her my full attention. Sometimes distance is the greatest gift you can give yourself. Say, not out of anger, out of preservation. Her shoulders drop half an inch. Relief. You're doing real work here, Maya. Trust your data. She leaves lighter than she came in. I recognize that walk. I used to have it. Christmas Eve arrives with snow that doesn't quite stick. My phone shows 47 missed calls from numbers I unblocked but archived. I listened to the final voicemail once. Eleanor crying. Actually crying. We miss our daughter, Rebecca. Please, it's Christmas. I archive it without responding. My chosen family arrives at 7. Professor Kalin brings wine. Julian brings stories about the latest board meeting. Others from AgriCorps filter in carrying food and laughter and the easy comfort of people who chose each other. We eat. We talk. Nobody asks about my real family. Later washing dishes, I catch my reflection in the dark window. Lake Michigan stretches behind me, vast and indifferent and beautiful. Same face. They tried to erase. Same person they measured and found wanting. Still here, still building, still growing. Thank you for the seed money. I think you taught me I could grow anywhere, even in exile. Especially in exile. The silence I've earned settles around me like expensive cashmere.